Hi, I'm Preston Williams, and welcome to another edition of Jazz Talk. Today on our show, we are joined by one of the consummate artists in jazz today. This gentleman has been on the scene for over 25 years and has worked with many greats from Elvin Jones to Dave Holland, John Hicks, Mulgrew Miller, Alicia Keys, and Wu-Tang Clan, to name a few. He's a trumpeter, composer, and arranger. Please welcome the legendary Mr. Duane Eubanks. Welcome, sir.
How are you?
Good.
Legendary. Wow, that's heavy, man.
It's good to have you on, man. Well, let's get into this. I know that your background a little bit, because of course I've had some of your family members on there. You grew up in Philadelphia, and so many great jazz musicians come out of Philadelphia. But I'm interested in knowing more about your family. I understand that I give big props to your mom, Vera. And one of the
Yeah,
things that I didn't know that Robin had told me, I didn't know that your mother was giving piano lessons to Kenny Barron when he was young. That blew my
that's
mind.
right. That's right. I just ran into him last week, and he told me to tell your mom I said hello.
Oh,
Thank you.
wow.
Yeah,
That is a
yeah, it's
blessing.
amazing, man. But she was, I guess maybe not the core, but her mom taught her
Mhm.
how to play piano, and she also taught my uncles Ray Bryant, Tommy Bryant, who recorded with Dizzy Gillespie,
Wow.
Sonny Stitt and Sonny Rollins and Ben Webster, those kind of guys. But so she kind of instilled the music aspect. She was very heavy into church, and she was music was a huge part of the Black church. So
Yeah.
she kind of passed it on, and just kind of spiraled out of control after that.
That's a blessing, man. Your mom is still, how old is your mother? She's got to be, what, early 90s, late 80s?
Late 80s, yeah.
Oh, man, that's a blessing.
She's
That's a
doing
blessing.
great. She's doing great.
Man, you are truly blessed. Well, I'm interested in knowing more about your humble beginnings and your background. I understand you picked up the trumpet and started playing, what, right around 11, 12 years old?
Yeah. I was in middle school in Philadelphia, and at that time, schools were still well funded.
Yeah.
The arts was still well funded. So I had a really good music teacher,
Mhm.
Eleanor Alter, who taught everybody, the trumpet players. She taught the trombone players, the string players. But she was an excellent music teacher and inspired everyone in the classes to further themselves. And after a while, everybody was actually really good. And I mean, everyone in the band, everybody could play. So it was a very inspiring situation to be in at a young age.
Mhm. Yeah. And,
So,
I was going to say, Duane, as you're developing, I guess you go through your teenage years, but I understand that what you ended up making a change, and you changed your major or something like that. You wanted to focus more on business when you went to college.
yeah,
And you put
when I
you put
went.
the trumpet down for a little while.
Yeah. I missed the very formative years. I wish I could take that back now, but
Yeah.
I was inspired by my dad, who was a corporate security man, and seeing him get up to work and have his nice tie and fresh suit on, go every morning. And then in a couple of hours after he leaves, I'd see Robin and Kevin in their jeans and the t-shirts around the house. But they were taking care of business. I didn't, I was a kid, so I didn't know what, being a musician entailed. And so I said, wow, this looks like a better option. And so I was good in math. So I figured, I guess I'm supposed to major in accounting, I guess.
Right.
So that's what I did for at the year I started at Hampton, and when I transferred to University of Maryland, I realized what I was missing in music.
I'm actually from that area, Salisbury, Eastern Shore.
Oh, you get out of
Yeah,
here.
I was blown away when you said that you went to UMES, you joined the jazz band. I says, I got to tell Duane, I'm from there. I mean, of course, I moved away from there like 35 plus years ago, but I'm from that Eastern Shore area. And
Wow.
I was maybe 15 minutes, if that, 10, 15 minutes from UMES. But I understand when you went to school there, I guess you picked the trumpet back up, you were playing again. Man, you got a chance to work with Clark Terry?
Well, yeah, I
Hmm.
kind of bumped into him at
Bumped
well,
into Clark Terry.
well with it at the school
Yeah.
they were inviting jazz greats to come down and perform with the jazz bands. Um so through that I got to see a lot of not a lot but a few
Yeah.
inspiring musicians. And it just so happens I was performing one time in Cape May, New Jersey, and he was there at the same time.
Hmm.
He's across they had like a section off. One club had someone I was performing, and he was in the next club.
Yeah.
So between the breaks, he peeks in to see what was going on, and he's listening to the band. So he tells the people, I want to play with them. I want forget my gig. I want to play with them.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it didn't go out like that, but after the gig, I saw him and I grabbed him and said, wow, Mr. Terry, thank you so much for all you've done, and, give him accolades. And he sat me down and gave me like an hour and a half lesson.
Ooh.
Verbally. It was a mess. My mind was blown.
Yeah.
It's, wow, this is Clark Terry. And, being on his level and being able to sit down and share his experiences, share his knowledge with me,
That is incredible.
that touched me.
Yes.
And I learned from that. I have to be able to do the same things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing, man. You also played a little bit with Stanley Turrentine as well.
Yeah, he came to school at University of Maryland, Eastern Shore, and that was mind blowing. I've heard the sound on records, but to hear it in person was like it was a different thing.
Wow.
Amazing.
Hey, Duane, is any of this, was any of it filmed or recorded when they came down?
I'm sure I have to assume that there's something at University of Maryland with these. I'll ask my teacher, Mr. John Lampkin, who's in
Oh, yeah.
Baltimore
I
playing
know him. Yeah, I know him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
beautiful, man. So you ended up going to Temple?
Yeah. After
This is after Hampton.
yeah, after
Okay.
Hampton and University of Maryland.
Mhm.
This is when I realized, wow, I really need to check out this music thing.
Yeah, like you said, you were doing the business thing, but maybe I made a mistake. I want to get back and focus on
Yeah,
music.
it's exactly what happened. When actually, I remember the actual date. I was calling my dad from school, just checking in. Hey,
Yeah.
Dad, how you doing? He said, yeah, man, we just got back from this. Kevin had received some kind of reward,
Mhm.
some kind of an award. I forgot what it was, but received an award. He said, yeah, we went with Kevin, and it was amazing, man. He played great. People loved him, and I said, yeah, that's great, Dad. I said, yeah, I was thinking, I think I want to change my major to music. And he said, oh, really? Man, you in your third year, you crazy? So, the money he put in for my school, and I said, okay, that makes sense. You got a point. So I have to finish my business degree, and that's what I did. And I went back home to Philly,
Mhm.
where I was, performing around town and stuff. And I said, wow, I really need to learn it more. I want to be in a, musical environment. So I said, well, maybe I'll go to Temple.
Yeah.
And which was cool for me because sitting down and being grounded and being able to, or having to be, provided that I had to, tend to my studies and,
Right.
maybe more focus
Exactly. Exactly. You know, now you did some master classes with the late Dr. Billy Taylor and Wynton Marsalis. What was that
Yeah,
like?
yeah, those happened at Temple. Uh,
Mhm.
Dr. Billy Taylor was there, was performing, and um, someone stood up to ask a question, and he says, "Yes." He said, "Yeah, well, some I'm trying to remember exactly the wording. I know I don't have it correct, but so
Yeah.
yeah, well, there's legacy of younger musicians learning from older musicians. This is one of my old teachers, old gym teacher, Mr. Fairfax. He was
Yeah.
an incredible. He was really entrenched in the jazz community and loved the music. He said, "Yeah, well, there's a young man who plays trumpet, Mr. Duane Eubanks, who's here, and I would love for you to." That's what? Yeah, I would love for you to, invite him up. And said, so Dr. Billy Chen said, "Duane, are you here?" I said, "Yeah." I said, come on up. You have to. I said, "Okay." And I went up and I played the tune with him, and it was so much fun. All those situations you run into are learning experiences. Now that I'm older, I can see
Right.
where it's more advantageous not to embody the situation as like, like you're on. I have to do this.
Exactly.
I have to do. Yeah, it's all a learning experience. If you can get out of your own way and absorb the positive aspects of it, it's great.
Mhm. Yeah.
Then so same thing went down when Winton came to Temple,
Mhm.
and I was just backstage. Wow, okay. And well, this one was more planned. It's, the director said, "Yeah, I think I'm gonna ask Winton to, that you come and play with him." I said, "Oh, wow, okay." So I'm, super nervous, and so, but it was cool because he was really open because he knew Robin and Kevin so well.
Mhm.
He embraced me, so I could kind of relax and play whatever I played. I don't even want to hear it, but
That's great, man. The fact that you got that opportunity. Also,
yeah.
I also found it interesting. I guess you had a chance to work with the late Johnny Coles. He took you
Oh,
under his wing and you played with, man, what was it like working with him for those 2 years?
yeah. Wow. I actually studied with him for, I think it was 2.5 years
Mhm.
before I moved to New York. Um, and I would see him once a month, and I changed my life, and I was in, being in Philadelphia. There was a pianist, Sid Simmons, who heard me play, and I interacted with him. He said, "Man, you know what? You really should check out Johnny Coles." I
Yeah.
said, "I heard the name." I said, "Well, how would I get in touch with him?" He said, "He's here in Philly." I said, "What?" So he made the connection, introduced us, and wow, Johnny changed my life. And he showed me these the Charles Mingus videos he did. He was playing with Mingus and Eric Dolphy, and yeah, it was amazing. And Clifford Jordan.
Yeah.
So he's just playing, we're at a lesson, we relaxing. So he puts the video on. So I'm listening. Wow, man, that trumpet player is killing. I was like, who is that? He said, "That's me, mama." What you talking about? I was like, "Oh, all right, man, that's 40 years ago. How am I supposed to know that's you?" But just having access to him
Yeah.
and the enormous experience that he had, and he played with Miles Davis, with the Gil Evans stuff,
Yeah.
the big band stuff with Gil Evans, and it was, like I said, it changed my mind, and I learned so much, and
Yeah.
truly grateful for that. and for that blessing.
You think about it early, before you really get started, you get an opportunity to work with these jazz giants. Majority of them are not even around anymore, but you got that under your belt. Now you made that move out to New York with your buddy Orrin. You
Yeah.
got made that move out there. How did you meet and hook up with Mulgrew Miller, one of the finest pianists, man? Mulgrew.
Wow. Yeah, it took many years. Moving to New York was very, number one, very intimidating, and not just musically. I was, becoming free of my family, or just becoming a man, quote unquote. So paying my own bills, and that whole thing was a lot for me. But how did I meet Mulgrew? That's a great question. I'm trying to remember how that happened. I'm not sure. I think he just kind of called me out of the blue.
Did you meet him in the early 90s? Because I remember early 90s, I know he was playing with Tony in that Tony Williams quintet.
Yeah,
yeah.
That was around the time that I met him, for sure. And I'd go see him, and as he performed, and it's Mulgrew Miller.
Right.
And he just kind of called me, and but I'm doing a band, Wingspan, I want you to come check out rehearsal or something. Right. Like, okay. Again, totally intimidated and nervous. It's like, man, I'm not on this level. Why is he calling me? And so I, do the rehearsal, and I, play with him.
Mm-hmm.
And he, again, with open arms, embraced me. And again, that's another blessing that I can't even put on paper how much it means to me, man. He opened me up totally, musically, spiritually. Just a really super humble, nice guy that could play the heck out of a piano. And that kind of integrity and spirit, you don't come by that very often. Mm-hmm. Not just in music, but in life in general. So,
I agree.
When we come across that, you really have to kind of embrace it and respect it as the blessing that it is.
Most definitely. You also work with another one of my favorite pianists, who's no longer with us, the late great John Hicks. What was it like working with John?
John was that was John was a comedian, man. He's just special, and it's not the guy with enormous amount of history. And just being on stage with him, I was able to, because I was checking out the Lee Morgan record at Live at the Light. No, this was a live in Baltimore. The record he did in Baltimore.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, with Clifford Jordan. And so I said, man, what was that like? He said, man, we were running late. They drove from New York to Baltimore. They said, man, we made it in about 2 hours. What? And I'm sure it was exaggerated, but
it got to be, man, because I don't think you can do New York to Baltimore in under three and a half hours.
3 hours.
Yeah.
He said they was doing like 80, 90 all the way there. So playing with John again, in this industry, you have to embrace the opportunities to learn from people that have, more experience than you, that elder generation.
Right.
Because they got it from the generation before them, which is, the era of musicians that we embody, like all those greats. Like, wow, that we listen to their records all day for hours. And that's where they got it from. and they're on some of those records, and that experience, you can't learn that in a classroom. You know, that's
exactly.
beyond the notes and rhythms. You know, there's a spirituality and a level of personal spirit that you can't, the only way to get it is directly through the individual.
Exactly.
And, you know, unfortunately, these days and times, you don't have that opportunity like we did when I was coming up.
Yeah.
You know, when
I'm
I
thinking
was,
about some of the people that you work with, man. I mean, Curtis Fuller, Elvin Jones. I'm like,
yeah,
wow.
yeah. But you know, when I moved to New York, my generation saw to it, not just us, but
Mhm.
there was a community in place, a
Yeah.
jazz community. You know, the bartenders, the club owners, the doorman who let you in, everybody that was involved loved the music, and they wanted to see it progress and represented correctly. So they see my generation, younger musicians come to their clubs. Wow, you know, and we meet, and they would peep you out and see how you acted, and so they made sure that you knew who was performing at their club,
Mm-hmm.
and they made sure that you were there. You know, for instance, Art Farmer was playing at Sweet Basil,
Yeah.
and the doorman said, "Man, Art Farmer's going to be here in 2 weeks. Make sure you have it behind here. Be here."
Yeah.
Like, wow, okay, and you know, so there was a much different climate then. You know, all the clubs were kind of inviting the younger musicians to come in and absorb and to be
Mm-hmm.
around the greats.
Yeah.
But that doesn't that's not as prevalent as it was then now today. And
Good.
at the same time, I think um, the mentality of the younger musicians is different.
Yeah.
Not bashing them, but they don't have the same opportunities that we had. So you know, they don't see the pluses of seeking out these older musicians that have all this experience.
Right.
So, and but it was a thing. It was a thing for us. You know, we gotta go see these guys.
That's right.
You know, guys we were reading about. You know, it was special, man.
Exactly. Being in New York, I mean, that was the place to see all those masters. You know, the
Wow.
ones that were
You
still
know,
around. New York was the spot.
yeah,
You know.
that's right. There was a club called Bradley's
Yeah, I've heard of Bradley's.
that they were all, everybody would go there, and you go and like, oh wow, Billy Higgins,
Right.
Art Blakey, Cedar Walton, anybody could be there.
Right.
Larry Willis is playing, and you could do nothing but, you know, sit there in awe and kind of try to absorb what was going on.
Right.
It was a mind-blowing experience for me, because I was you know, I was really geeked up reading, and I was reading a lot. I reading Miles's book, and how, you know, you came up in the big bands, and how you got around and meeting everybody. So for me, it was like heaven, not just for me, but for musicians, period, that could sit down and see all these greats, not just playing music, but interacting and
Right.
getting along. It was, you know, special for me.
That's incredible, man. Hey, I wanted to ask you about your first recording, which was nice. Was it My Shining Hour?
Yeah.
That was great. That came out, well, I believe, what was it, 90? Was it 99 or something like that?
99, something like, yeah, I think 99.
That was nice.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things I was going to say, I love your sound. You have a beautiful sound on the trumpet, man, and it reminds me of many greats that we'll talk about pretty soon. But What were you trying to say on that first recording? You know, I guess
Well, the first record, I was, that's interesting. I was basically just trying to get through it.
yeah, yeah,
But as it was going, I said, wow, okay, I'm really have an opportunity to make a statement, a musical statement. So
yeah,
yeah, I wanted to expand more on as far as the tunes were concerned. And
mhm,
I was, I was younger then, so I was thinking, wow, they play all this hard stuff and hip stuff to make a statement. But the producer said, no, well, maybe you should do um, more tunes that people are familiar with. So
yeah,
we adapted to some more standards. But again, I just was trying to make a statement,
yeah.
have an opportunity to do it again.
Mhm. Great
It,
statement it was too, man. It was a good debut for you. There's a
it,
musician I want to ask you about, who's a very special, one of my very favorite musicians, and it looks like your entire family has played with them. And I'm talking about bassist Dave Holland. Uh,
yeah,
just fantastic. I mean, Dave's background, of course, playing with Miles back in the day and Sam Rivers and all these people he's worked with.
yeah.
And but that big band stuff that you guys did, man, was fantastic. Those arrangements, the writing and stuff like that. What is it like working with Dave, man?
Wow, that again another great opportunity for me to learn and to expand my musical horizons. Um I wasn't the guy to play like odd meters.
Right, right.
I was more in the traditional vein because, when I moved to New York, that was the thing that was in at the time. So I was more locked into that, but that was some challenging stuff
Yeah,
for me, reading in 7 and then the 6 and the meters are changing and it's like, wow, what's going on here? But you know, Robin was in his band at the time, the
yeah.
the smaller group, and
Right, right.
he told Dave, I guess he told Dave to give me a call, and so Robin gave me the heads up first. Said, man, there might be an opportunity for you, but you gotta take care of business. Don't screw up.
That's
Don't,
right.
big brother talk. So
Right.
so Dave gave me the call and the big band. Wow, cool, okay. And then to see, Antonio Hart, Mark Gross, Gary Smullian, and
Steve Nelson was in there with you guys too,
Chris
right?
Potter,
Yeah,
and
Chris Potter. Yeah,
yep, Alex Sipiagin,
that was a bad group, man.
Taylor Haskins, and it was just great musicians all
Yeah,
across the board. And so it gave me an opportunity to, number one, not to better myself in terms of reading music and
hmm,
interpreting music in different meters, but to break bread and share time and assess music together with my peers that I held on a high level.
yeah, yeah.
So it was a great experience. I called Dave from time to time. So Dave, I think it's big band season, man. Let's do it.
Oh man,
Let's
Dave is.
do it.
He told me an
Super
interesting.
cool.
He told me an interesting story, Duane. I had talked to him years ago. He was at the Kennedy Center, and I know you've played there before.
Mhm.
And I was talking to him about Miles, and he says Miles would change the tunes on us at the last minute. He said we were ready to go out and perform, and just when we're about to go out and perform, he said Miles would change the songs just to keep them on their toes. So we're not doing these tunes. This is what we're going to be doing. He says I just want
Wow.
I pay you to practice on the bandstand. You know,
Yeah.
so but
Yeah.
it was interesting. But yeah, and plus I think with that group, that big band, you guys won like 2 Grammys or something like
Yeah,
that.
we want to.
What was it? One of them was what comes around or something like that.
What comes around and the other one is overtime. Yeah,
That's
they
it.
back
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, my favorite cut on that one is the one that goes da 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 da. He goes
Happy
da da
Jam.
da 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 da
Yeah,
da.
man.
I love that song, man.
Yeah, man.
The music was just tight, and I'm sitting there
Yeah,
watching you guys,
right. But that really showcased Dave's his musical talent.
Yeah.
And we're all sitting there like, wow, what? How is he writing this stuff? And what an amazing experience. I got to see the world, and and to be in a big band that traveled the way we did was, me and Mark Gross talk about it still to this day. Like, how did he pull that off? I mean, I know he was huge, he was the man at that time, but I know that paperwork was rough.
I can imagine. Duane, is that something you guys may eventually go back to? I mean, is it something you guys have discussed? Does Dave say, like, you know what? Maybe we should get this band back together, do a few more dates. Is it something you see yourself doing in the future again with him?
Oh, I would love to. I told you, I call him, man. It's like, Dave, let's do it, man. Come on.
Yeah, that would
His
be.
head is in. He's had his hand is in so many. His hand is in so many different things,
I can
and
imagine. I know he's worked with so many from Kenny
yeah,
Barron, and I know I think isn't your brother doing something with him right now?
yeah,
Kevin,
yeah.
yeah. I
Kevin's
mean,
playing with him now.
I've seen so much of his stuff over the years, McCoy Tyner, but one of my favorite shows that big band did, Duane, is when you guys did Newport a number of years ago.
Oh yeah,
That was a great show, man. I
yeah,
love that. Y'all were
yeah,
outside, and the wind was blowing, y'all were killing it. That was
yeah. It was fun, man.
yeah,
I had again another blessing to
yeah,
be able to hit those big stages and tour around the world, see the world, Czech Republic, Switzerland, all of this stuff.
you
And
guys were everywhere, man,
it was
everywhere.
beautiful, man. And, we were working pretty regularly as a big band. So, we were, becoming better musicians. When you
Exactly.
work, you get better.
That's right. That's right. So,
So
man,
that was,
tell me, how did you make the change? How did you get to work with the Wu-Tang Clan, man? That one caught me off guard a little bit. I'm like, Duane, really?
yeah, that
Tell me about
catches
that, man.
everybody off.
How did you make that transition to work with them?
Well, I was when I moved to New York, I was a lot of guys who at the time they moved to New York to be in a band, to work with
Mhm,
somebody had a band, that had a gig already,
mhm.
but I didn't have that. So I moved to New York. I didn't know what I was gonna do. So I to make ends meet, I got a job at Tower Records back when they were record stores.
That's right. Yeah.
So there I had a coworker who would happen to be RZA's cousin.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, and ODB's brother, actually, William Ramsey. And he knew I played music and I was getting around, I was performing a little bit in the cities. He said, man, my cousins, they want to record, they want live music, would you be interested? What? Wu-Tang Clan? I think I would be interested in seeing what that's like.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Definitely count me in. So I go to the studio, 36 chambers, and I got there first. So I'm just kind of sitting there, nerd, like, okay, what's supposed to happen? Then they start walking in. Oh God, what's about to happen? But it was super cool, man.
Yeah.
Really, really super cool. And Riz is a genius. He doing movies and things now. So well, I had to kind of back off of the jazz idea because I was, I came in with the improvisation thing in my mind. Say, okay, this is what I add to the music, and so I was kind of getting into that, and we just said, well, we just need you to play specific things. So just just play what we asked. I was like, oh, okay, cool, no problem. And you know, and that was the major difference for me. Just knowing, oh, it's not the Duane Eubanks hour. It's you know, I'm a part of a unit. They want specific things, and that's what I had to give them.
Yeah.
So every time I did some R&B work, same thing with Alicia Keys, and
Yeah, I was going to ask you about her too, man. Working with her, what was it like working with Alicia?
yeah, that was amazing, man. Hearing her voice on the, okay, guys, like, whoa. But again, geniuses at what they do, and she knew how to get the most out of the musicians, and she's just very encouraging the entire time we were doing. Okay, guy, I think you can get that one a little better. Let's just like, oh, okay, and just relax, keep everything relaxed, and let musicians be musicians, and you know, and the record went platinum or whatever it went.
Yeah.
The song we played on became the staple for the WNBA at that time. So, you know, so it was great, man, just to be in the company of, you know, artists on that level, which expanded my horizon as well. Do it, try to teach my students, you know, you have to think outside of, you know, your jazz community if you want to survive as a musician. You know, open yourself up, you know.
That's exactly right.
You know, be open to other opportunities.
That's right. They were interviewing Jaco Pastorius, the bassist, and Jaco says, "Hey, man, country western. If it sounds good, I dig it." You know, I'm just thinking about these musicians who would play things that you wouldn't normally think, like Ron Carter working with a Tribe Called Quest. I mean, I'm like, I didn't see that one, but hey, you know, if it works, man, it's good.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, listen, I wanted to do something in this next segment with you. This is always my favorite part. You know, when a musician comes on, I talk about people who've influenced that, you know, the musician and the instrument, of course, that they play. And I want to name some musicians, and just first thing that comes to your mind, Duane. There's no right or wrong answer. All right. First name, Clifford Brown.
Wow. Okay. That's my word. Oh, perfection.
Yeah, yeah.
Perfection.
Next name, Miles Davis.
Visionary.
Okay, I like that. I like that. Next name, Lee Morgan.
So.
Yeah, that's what I think of too. Yeah. So, by the way, speaking of him, did you catch his film? I Called Him Morgan.
Yes, I did.
That was very good. It was very good.
Yeah.
Next name, Freddie Hubbard.
Power. Bully. I call him the trumpet bully.
Yeah. Here's a name you don't hear that much anymore these days, but he was fantastic in his short career. Booker Little.
Oh man, underrated. Just flawless.
Yeah.
Free thinking. Yeah.
Next name, Charles Tolliver.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Let's think of a good word for Charles. All encompassing.
I like that.
He really liked looked out for younger trumpet players, and you know, always wanted to make sure that we knew who he was. You know, I'm Charles Tolliver, but he always looked out for my boy Keon Harold. He opened Keon up a lot.
Cool. Now this next name may be my personal favorite, even though I love all these guys. This guy is very special. Woody Shaw.
Game changer.
Yeah.
He was super. I mean, we're still trying to figure out what he's playing. You know, I don't know how he pulled that stuff off.
Even Miles Davis loved him.
Amazing.
Miles even said about him. He said, Now, that's a trumpet player right there. He said he plays different than all of them. Miles has a lot
Yeah,
of respect for Woody. Yeah.
yeah. The thing with all the names you mentioned, they're all connected.
Hmm.
You know, they all checked out each other. They all had mutual respect for each other.
Yeah.
They loved each. They had love for each other.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry about that. We had a little technical difficulties, but Duane and I are back. We were talking about Woody Shaw. We're talking about trumpet players, but yeah, Woody is definitely one of the greats. Another trumpet player that you had the opportunity to work with, Wynton Marsalis.
Oh man, um, the term, wow, technical facility. Okay, man,
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
I can only
That
shake
says
my
it all.
head. I can only shake my head when I hear him play.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like, wow, man, how do you even?
exactly. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
brilliant. Next name, Terrence Blanchard.
wow, and not genius,
Yeah,
genius.
he is, man. And so, you know, and I like he's a great trumpeter, but I like him even more as a composer than a trumpet.
Yeah,
You know, he's brilliant.
yeah, yeah.
All the
I
film
think,
scores and stuff that he's done. You know.
yeah. Well, there was two records I OD'd with Terrence Blanchard. I Simply Stated, and there
Yeah,
was one after that, I think. Can't remember the name of it, but those two records I played nonstop
yeah.
for a year, easy.
He's
So
good.
yeah, so he's one of my favorites for sure.
Next name, Wallace Roney.
Uh, that was my homie.
Yeah.
Like, 'cause I could call him. He was the one guy that I could call, you know, with advice, ask for advice, or
Hmm.
just to talk to, you
He had a
know.
lot of love for you too, man.
Yeah, yeah. Well, at the a lot of musicians realize that this is not it can be a very lonely thing,
Yeah,
pursuing this type of career.
yeah,
Um, and it's easy to start measuring yourself next to everybody else, your peers or whoever it is, say, wow, well, they doing that, but I'm not doing this. They're working, I'm not. Whatever, they're getting written up in the magazine, I'm not. But I could always call Wallace, and he would keep my head straight. It's
yeah.
like, man, just keep doing what you're doing. You don't want to sound like them. You don't want to be like them. Just keep it moving forward.
That's
I
right.
always had some kind words of inspiration for me. So I miss him very much.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I was with him a couple months before he passed. He was at Blues Alley. And I was actually going to start my show with him being my first interview. He and I talked, and then boom, March, he was gone, man. I was like, wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
amazing, man.
Great.
That's the times we living in now. It's just
Mm,
you really have to make the best of each opportunity, and tell people exactly how you feel.
right. That's right.
Embrace
Nobody's
them.
promised tomorrow.
Exactly. Nothing's promised.
And the next name, Roy Hargrove.
My brotherhood. Yeah, man. Another guy I miss very much.
You guys are the
Um,
same age too, aren't you?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. We used to run into each other a lot at jam sessions, and always mutual love. You know, this recently I'm solidified a chair in his big band, so we're performing pretty regularly now. So keep your ear open for Roy Hargrove Big Band.
Definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
And Duane, there's one more name I want to add to that list. Fantastic trumpet player, great arranger, and I'm speaking to him right now, Mr. Duane Eubanks. I add you to that list of trumpet players, man. No, definitely. You know, you carving out your own thing, man. You got a great sound, and I definitely want to add you to that list because you got the stuff, man. You know, it's funny. I've never ever seen you play before in person. I'm in the Baltimore, DC area, so the next time you come to DC or Keystone Corner or any of those places, man, let me know because I
I
definitely
promise.
love
I
to see you, man.
promise. I
'Cause
haven't been. I haven't been that area in a while.
Yeah.
I performed with Doug Carn at Keystone, and
Oh
I
yeah,
played Blues Alley with my band
yeah.
years ago.
Wow.
But that's something to work on.
Yeah,
And
definitely, man.
I promise I'll get back to you.
That
For
would
sure.
be that would be fantastic. Well, listen, man, it's been a pleasure sitting here chatting with you today, man. You have a beautiful spirit and just sharing this time and space with you, man, talking about music and some of our music heroes. Hang on, I'm about to close out the show. We've heard it from the great Mr. Eubanks. I call him Mr. Eubanks, you know. I can say Duane, but Mr. Eubanks is cool. And as the saying goes, if the music grooves and makes you move, it must be jazz. I'm Preston Williams with Jazz Talk signing off. Peace.